Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. For this episode of Comics Kwentuhan, we have writer, comics creator, Ma'am Jonnette Valenciano, creator of the Rasa
Cycles
Cycles and
and
Little
Little
Majesty.
Men. Yeah, thank you so much, John, for having me on the show. This is a rare treat and a privilege
Mm.
to be interviewed by you. Thank you for having me.
Na-flatter ako. Parang.
I mean, come on.
Okay.
Ayan. So it's wonderful being on the show with you, no less. The brains behind Comic Con. So yeah.
One of lang. As in,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time kasi, I often like to interrupt yung para magbigay ng point. Parang sinasabi kasi na most of the tao na nakakakilala na, oh, ako si Comic Con, ako si ganyan. I'm just part of Comic Con, okay?
Yeah, I also want to shout out, Ma'am Sherry. We love you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Ano,
like
what do you call this?
one-sixth only of Comic Con, and
Ah,
most often kino-correct ko yung mga tao na it's committee, it's just not me, it's not just Lyndon, it's not just Play, as a collective yung Comic Con. And
that's
most
lovely.
important Comic Con is the creators. Kasi pag wala yung creators, wala yung Comic Con. As in, yun naman yun. So, going back to
Lovely.
you, ma'am. So you
Jeanette na lang,
created.
Diyos ko.
No,
Diyos
ano
ko.
lang, I usually, ayan, I always say this sa guest ko. Gusto ko kasi talaga mabalik yung culture of respect between mga tao and
I
yung
see.
over familiarity. Kahit mga friends ko, tinatawag ko ma'am and sir whenever we are in this situation. Para lang yung uh, alam ko friends naman most of the comics creators, pero may level of respect pa rin tayong binibigay sa isa. So, indulge nyo
Okay,
na lang ako when I call you sir or ma'am sa lahat ng mga
that's
creators.
perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Well, thank you for letting me know. Mhm.
So, yun, ma'am. Um, you created two titles. One was a winner sa Comic Cat, and you won as Best Writer.
Yes.
And before we started recording, I asked you, how do you identify as a comics creator? And you said na you're more leaning towards writing. And
Yes.
I read yung works nyo kanina, and I saw yung clear grasp of how you tell stories through dialogue. As
Thank
in,
you. Mhm.
it's one thing kasi I as a comic book enthusiast, I read a lot of comics and I see a lot of creators, most of those who identify as illustrators, ang strengths nila is visual storytelling. But when I read your work, I see na you could tell a story just by the dialogue itself. As in, nakakadala talaga yung dialogue mo. When I read it, na yung nuances nung characters, I get it. So parang yung line work is just complementing most of yung dialogue writing mo. So, yun nga, when you said kanina na, oh, yeah, nakita ko na you're more of a base writer, as in writer in general.
That's high praise coming from you. Thank you, John.
Mm-mm. So
Uh,
let's talk about which one do you want to talk about first?
um, I think to append to what to your kind words earlier, um, I think no, not I think. Are we kidding me? I have my theater background to thank for that. I finished theater arts with a major in performance in UP Diliman, and I was an okay actor. I was very happy directing, and I think that's where it all started. And then, of course, there was playwriting, and I have a lot of my professors to thank for that, for encouraging me. Uh, and that's what I think yun yung nadala ko sa comics. And this is also why when a lot of younger folks, when a lot of people ask me, So, nagko-comics ka. Ano yung tinapos mo sa college? Theater arts. Ha? Bakit? Anong connection? You know? And this is why I will always say that regardless of what your discipline is in art, they will still feed into each other regardless of what creative output you want to pursue. So, can you dance for architecture? Guess, in a sense. There are some disciplines that there are some lessons that you can take from other art forms and feed and nourish others. So, and
Yeah.
that makes the medium all the richer for it.
Yeah.
So, going back to your question, John, um, let's see. I think it might help to start kung saan ako nanggaling in the sense na my very first baby was the Rasa cycles. Excuse me. And this one was a doozy because a lot of, I will tell you, when I released it, a lot of people were not sure what to make of it because it deals with really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And just ko po, umpisang issue 1 pa lang, you've got this philandering serial relationship guy who thinks that who thinks that his heart breaks or the people whose hearts he breaks will feed his career and so on and so forth. Um Long and short of it, this entire project was actually inspired when my dad passed away. Uh no, the guy in issue 1 is not my dad.
Oo
uh
nga. Wanted to
okay.
clear that up there.
um what in general do you want to know about the Rasa cycles first?
So yeah, like you said kanina, very deep very dense, very deep the way you write. Um, like I told you when yung nag-preamble ako when nag-i-invite ako about sa comics Kwentuhan, I usually like to know yung influences of,
Ah,
'di ba? Um,
okay.
what one thing that I saw when you gave me yung files of your work was it was very reminiscent of a certain imprint of DC during the 90s. Very
Vertigo.
vertigo-ish. Yeah. So I
That is
guess
the
that's a
one
big
title I
influence on you.
miss. Yeah. In general, yes, I am heavily influenced by Dave McKean and Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore. Although I'm not it. Alan Moore is America's finest, right?
Yeah.
Basta that particular set of creators.
Mm-mm.
So, doon ako simulat sa pool in a sense. Um, let's see. Uh, I guess you might say this is where my love for Neil Gaiman came out. Uh, I remembered one of what you call this when I was still very young. My God, can we say early 20s is young at this point? You're barely a teenager. Here's the thing: you're barely a teenager in adult years in your 20s. So please don't rush. Take your time with making art. Um, I remember that time I was like still saying, I want to be my big dream is I want to be like the Neil Gaiman of the Philippines, etc., etc., etc. And then some of my acquaintances back then said, "Oh, but isn't that too derivative, etc., etc." And you're really just going to be that. Now that I think about it a little later on, it would be nice to be I mean, and I think that this is I think a thing that a lot of creators would want to also be na I realize on my own na I want to be the Jonnette Valenciano of the
Oh yeah.
Philippines. I want to be known as this is how I write. This is my unique
Yeah.
voice. And I want this also for all the other
Mm-mm.
every other comics creator, every other creator in general actually.
Mm-mm. Don't be
Okay.
the next ganito. Don't be the
Yeah.
next. Be the first.
Yeah.
Whoever
Or
yung
even
branding mo, yung identity mo.
Yeah, or even we can say it na, how do they, parang, Neil Gaiman walked so Jonnette Valenciano could run. Wow! Ayun, my God. I'm sorry, I'm enough about that. Going back to the Rasa cycles. So, what were the influences of this? I did mention my dad. My dad and I had a very close relationship, and he was actually a major influence on me in terms of my philosophy and outlook on life. And he was very eclectic. Um, the mere fact that as soon as he graduated from the Department of Music in UP, may basbas siya ng dean nila to go to New Delhi to learn sitar.
Mm.
3 days after his mother found out. That should tell you everything what my dad is like, you know. And Joey Valenciano, um, what do you call this? He really fought hard against a very rare disease, and he passed away. But one thing that he left behind with me were the lessons, and a big part of that were the stories and the ideas that he learned from India.
Mm. I guess
And
oo nga, I see
yeah,
both of the stories had like Indian elements na.
this is a new and interesting comment for me because with the rasas with I'm sorry with the little Majesty, most people will tell me that, oh, it feels very wuthering, well, it feels very not Wuthering Heights, it feels very um and this is where malalagot ako because I forget my authors. um wait lang. You I'm sorry, you have okay, please indulge me. Okay. It's a British novel about uh this governess who gets involved with this dark brooding uh owner of a manor with whose wife is actually a ghost, or at least is
Mm.
actually locked up. Oh gosh. Yes, I know. I listeners, please, you are welcome to roast me in the comments. My memory is that short. But nonetheless, a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, your comic book makes me think of this, etc., etc." So, for me, John, when you said that it has the Look of Majesty has Indian elements, I am very curious now to ask, why? This is very intriguing for me.
Well,
So, bakit
there
mo
was a
nasabi?
sequence that when Easy had that vision,
Yes, yes. Thank you for reminding. Of course. Okay. Yes, that is kind of part and parcel of that. So yeah. But going back to the Rasta cycles, kumbaga what you're seeing, John, is kind of the tip of the bamboo sprout. Okay, kasi may malayo pa ng pang mundo yan. Issue 2 would have touched on that. And I say would have touched on and expounded on that because it is still in stasis. Um, the script is there. I just need to figure out when to finish it.
Mhm.
Um, a number of people have told me, you know what, you should change this entirely because we want you to go big. We want you to dapat on the same level as DC Comics. We want you to get to Comic Con and all that because your work has and we want you to go big. Dapat nasa San Diego Comic Con ka. And for people to tell me that, parang, whoa, hold on. This is not what I had in mind, you know. This is not the scope that I had in mind. I mean, that's great. And this is when I realized that my work is not for everyone. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay that my work is not for everyone because um I'm glad that people appreciate it. But I am also very aware that not everyone is going to appreciate it,
Mhm.
you know. Um and that's okay.
Yeah, actually,
So
that's a very good point.
mm,
a lot of younger creators feel that once na somebody rejects yung concept or their book that they released na parang end of the world na.
Nako,
Parang,
nako.
di
I
ba?
have
Yung
John, I have
first,
so many stories for you about that. Go ahead. Pero ikaw
di ba?
muna. I want to know
But
what
the
you think.
first thing that na lagi ko rin naman sinasabi is parang you write for yourself first. Di ba? You write for
Yeah.
yourself first. Yung
Sobra.
first audience mo is always yourself. And if you
Yeah.
like what you're doing, yeah, you always have that na gusto mo yung gawa mo. If
Yes.
ikaw mismo hindi mo gusto yung gawa mo, you have a problem
Mm-hmm,
already.
mm-hmm.
Start pa lang. Especially if you are looking for like validation from other people para dun sa work nyo. So
Nako,
yan.
John, madami akong makakwento sa iyo John about that. I've already been, if it's okay to share this,
Yeah,
I've
sure.
already been kind of confronted. Kasi naman confronted, that sounds like so, parang inaatake. Hindi naman. Pero parang, um, medyo naloka lang ako sa questions. At the one mini art market, sponsored by Amnesty International. At the time, I still only had the Rasa cycles. And then this lady comes up to me and asks me about my comic. And I essentially asked her, it gave her the elevator pitch. Now, oh, it's about these um personified Hindu concepts of aesthetics, because that's what really the the my version of the endless, quote unquote, are
Okay.
they're based on. So they come in and help people figure their lives out and figure what their art is about, whether they want to or not. And then she piped up and said, but why can't it be about Filipino things?
Mm, okay.
And I was like, I don't know, why can't it be? Because
And oh,
and this is not me being sassy, okay? Pero kasi on my end, I will confess na parang nabulaga ako ng question na yon. And I didn't know how to feel about that. Kasi parang, pero kasi I'm writing from my truth.
mm-mm.
Just because it talks about Hindu concepts does not necessarily mean that this is not Filipino.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
You know, because the concepts are universal. It just
Mm-mm.
so happens that they sprang from India. It
Mm-mm.
just so happens that they came from India, where my dad got immersed, that he passed on to me, because these concepts are still universal.
Mm-mm.
And I think that might be another issue that at some point, I'm pretty sure a lot of comics conversations are kind of revolving around, because a lot of people are like saying, oh, why can't it be Filipino, etc., etc.,
Mm-mm.
dapat about Filipino mythology and all that. And well and good, I support that. Kudos to that. But if you can also, but just because you slap on a tikbalang on it, or you slap on a salakot on it, does not necessarily make it Filipino. In the
Mm-hmm.
same way that just because certain ideas, certain concepts hail from other countries, does not mean that it is not Filipino, because there is still the blending
Yeah.
of it. There is
Mm-mm.
still it is part of the storycraft, is being able to take, and part of creativity really is being able to take disparate ideas and blending it into something that is uniquely yours. And if is it still Filipino in value set? Is it still Filipino um in what it extols, in what it says in its message? Now that's another conversation, I think. You know? So yeah.
Very, very good topic actually yan. Yung, some kasi like sinushoehorn nila yung Filipino identity with their work. I mean, parang since I'm a Filipino creator, I need like to put Filipino elements in my story. Pero 'di ba,
Yeah.
like what you said, even if you use foreign um ideations, foreign elements, foreign mythology, you being a Filipino will always shine through your own experiences, your unique perspective as a Filipino kasi you live here, your experiences are here, it will
Yeah.
still shine through with your writing. Sinabi rin
I
niya ni
mean,
Sir Jerry, one of his
yeah.
last talks sa Comic Con was somebody asked him because he was like very a stalwart of Filipinos, the Filipino style before, and he was like kind of na-reprimand niya some of us younger creators before for using a foreign styling to our storytelling, to our visuals. But one of his last talks sa Comic Con was he said that instead of trying to shoehorn your Filipino identity or what we call Filipino style in our creations, is ang the best as a creator you could do is do yung best mo na lang. And whatever Filipino-ness na meron ka will still shine through.
You know, I'll even do you for one thing further. Let me see. Um, okay. Just in case, John, do you probably might have heard of Richard Mercado. Okay.
Yes.
He is one of our young bloods. I'm very proud of this. I don't know if it's right for me to call him a kid because he's 20 years younger than me. I'm very proud of him. Okay. And he is right now in the US doing his best to finish his degree. Okay. And he not only released what do you call this? Ang Crush Kong Sakristan, but there are these small stories, these pocket-sized vignettes that he released on Twitter that are very poignant, that are very painful. Um, that and still, what do you call this? It still talks about issues that many LGBTQIA Filipinos face, whether they are here or abroad. And I'm very sure that he used his knowledge or the things he learned both here and abroad to tell that story. Is that any less Filipino? I don't think so. Okay. Now, also, I know that there might be people who will say, ay nako, she said, slapatik ba lang on it. So, ay, wag kayo ha, wag kayo gagawa ng tsaa, mahal ko yung si Arnold Are. So actually, Arnold Are is, and I will always say this, John, he is one of my biggest influences, and he inspired me to create comics from a very from the very young age of college. um he is incredibly kind and incredibly wonderful, and his mythology class and all his other titles really inspired me, and I hope he's doing okay wherever he is. So yeah, yun
Mm-mm.
lang. So
Mahilig actually ng sa toxic bending of words yung mga tao sa community.
ay
So,
sus mio. Diyos ko, nagtsatsyaan na ako dito. Wag tayong, what they call this, nagtsatsyaan na ako dito. Tapos, I'm sure there will be people brewing tea out there. Bahala sila. So, anyway. Okay. So, ayun, I hope that I was able to answer that. Oh, but on the flip side, John, the one thing that I will always hold very dear to my heart is the first time I released the Rasa Cycles. Understandably, not a lot of people got it, and that's okay. But at the last day, there was this one creator who came pell-mell running in my direction, and he was like going, he had these really crazy hair, and he looked like he was a mix between a hippie and a Rastafarian. And he was like, who is the creator of this comic book? Who is the creator of this comic book? Oh my god, it's mind-blowing, etc., etc. And I said, guilty as charged. And oh my god, it's wonderful. And he's just exploded all over the place. And that is how that was the start of my friendship with Chubb Silverstone. Oh, Shobs is a wonderful, wonderful guy, and I really I really took that to heart. So for every person who will tell you, oh, why is it not Filipino? For every person who will tell you, itong gay work mo na yan, dapat sa beauty parlor lang yan, dapat sa mga chimay lang yan because they're gay. For every person, because somebody did tell me that, and amiga pa ng lola ko, ha? So, clearly, the work is not for them. Clearly, they're, ang sinabi ko nung sa sarili ko is, you know what? That just proves to me that you're not my audience. You're not my audience.
Yeah.
So, for every person who will tell you that, there will be someone out there whose life will be changed because of your work. You will
Totoo
find your
yan.
tribe out there. So please, please, I beg of you, I implore you, write for an audience of one. Write for yourself. And if you are happy and satisfied and delighted with your work, even if you try to put it through the ringer and try to criticize it to heavens above, and it's still something that rings true to you, that's all you need, you
Mm-mm.
know. And that's actually, that in a way, John, that kind of leads us also to Little Majesty, because
Mm-mm.
that was the clincher, that was the core of bakit ko sinimula ang Little Majesty. So if you like, we can talk about that after the break. um but yeah, I mean, yeah, that is what I have for that. That's what I have for the Rasa cycles.
Since we got caught off with yung ating technical with our
No
Zoom.
problem.
And you were
Yes.
talking about, and yeah, it's very animated. Actually, yeah, we talked about a lot of um good stuff off cam. So I
Mm.
wanted the audience to know more about this. So for the Rasa
Oh, John.
cycles,
Mm.
uh you were talking to me about your plans for it. So I just want them to hear kung ano yung what you just told me about
Oh my
your grand
goodness.
plan for your first, this was your first comic book project, right?
Yes, it was. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm sorry. Adrian just asked me to you know how tricky some lotion bottles can be. Yung
Yeah,
parang ikot eh. Yeah, I'm
naka ano
sorry.
siya, child-proof siya.
Sorry about that. Okay, going back. Okay. So, good Lord. Back in 2015, how old was I? My God, I was still in my mid 30s. And yeah, I had huge plans for the Rasa cycles. Maybe I still do. Let's see. Okay, that's the best thing I can say. Let's see. Um I dreamt that it would become something of of something that's similar to the Sandman. You know, a girl can dream.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, pretty much it would also focus on uh the Rasas would essentially be your pivotal characters, but it would also focus on developing the stories of each of their wards, or the people whose issues they iron out, you know.
Mm-mm.
um what Going back, really and truly, this was all meant to be um a tribute to my dad. This was all meant for him. I had plans, I still have plans, I think, na if, knock on wood, hindi ko man matapos yung buong series because life is short. Um, or if it so happens that I do manage to actually finish it, uh, that there's this short issue, or this short story na all the Rasas come into this bar and they talk with each other, they flirt with each other, and they're just having a grand time. They just, they're just doing what they do. And um my dad walks in, and they all turn and go, Joe, you're finally here. So that was just a personal thing for me. Okay, I just wanted to finish the series this way. uh I find myself wondering if the Rasa cycles is still relevant. uh one friend, si Rebecca Ilo, what one time she really encouraged me to bring the Rasa cycles back because with issue one, especially with the rise of, excuse me, how, pardon me, that was not an editorial comment. Uh, how a lot of nagkaroon ng issue because of the Me Too movement
Mm.
and how there were a number of creators who were kind of from what I understand they were nagiging parang serial fuckboys sila for their art, which is not cool, you know. And she would tell me, yeah, it's still relevant.
Napataas yung
Yeah, it's still
kilay ko dun.
relevant.
As in,
I'm sorry.
napataas yung kilay ko dun sa,
I
sa part na.
okay. You know? And like, okay, now I'm very curious about why napataas kang kilay mo. Okay. Yeah, we can discuss that already. But and I find myself wondering, yeah, I guess it's relevant, but how relevant ba? You know? I mean, I'm not gonna say that, oh, I'm not asking that question to mean, oh, it's not relevant anymore. No, no, maybe in some respects it is. You know, but excuse me, is it enough to spark an actual conversation? And when I say actual conversation, I don't just mean na me being, oh, look, this is bad, you should not do this. No, I'm not, that is not for me to do. That is not my role. That is not the artist's role. The artist's role for me is to go, okay, here, this is what I see. And I hold up a mirror. What do you think you see?
Mhm.
So for me, that is what I do. And if there are people who see that there is something, oh, it's very in line with the Me Too movement. What great, thank you. I appreciate that. You know? But again, it is not my job. It is not my job to be the finger that wags. It is not my job to scold naughty children into behaving.
Yeah.
You know? Um but yeah, going back, John, I am intrigued. Sorry, this is my thing coming out. Bakit napataas ang
Eh, I
kilay
don't know.
mo?
I haven't heard yung part, yung side na yun about other creators being fuckboys for yung
Well, I think it's that was a thing I think in the last 10 years. This was pre-pandemic pa kasi na there was this thing I don't know if this is even a real issue, honestly, John. Na there are apparently pagpupunta ka daw sa and this is all hearsay, ha? This is a base me on very limited knowledge, me hiding under a rock, relying on the internet, okay? So, and you know, you all know the internet is like this.
yeah.
So, so there are these issues na, oh, pagpupunta kang Cubao X, you know, ang daming mga art ho doon, ang daming mga fuckboy doon, etc., etc. And if one of them tries to kiss you or flirt with you, mag-ingat ka because baka lalabas ka in their next painting, etc., etc., etc.
Um,
Pagkatapos gagawin nila yon para may award sila. And I'm like, um, that's a bit, you know, and remember that that was the same thing that a lot of people would joke about Taylor Swift. They would say, si Taylor Swift, she'll get into a relationship and break your heart para she'll write a song about it. But now the way that Taylor Swift is seen is very different, diba?
mm-mm.
Yun. So I'm not saying that these fuckboys are exonerated, but but I'm still going back to what I'm saying na I am not here to scold naughty children into doing things. That is not my role. Do not put me in a school marm outfit. I am merely here to hold up a mirror and ask you what you see, and that's it.
Mm.
So,
So going back sa Rasa cycle,
mm,
uh, have you written it already? As in, is it finished
like head to
in
toe, good heavens, John. Um, in entirety, are you asking me
in
that?
yes.
Oh my God. I think that exclamation alone should tell you. Uh I've written issue 1. That's done, of course. I've written the script for issue 2. And then life happened. I
Yeah.
think that is one thing that is the resounding battle cry of a lot of Filipino comics artists today. And then life happened. Um Almost on the same level as and then the Fire Nation attacked. Uh I think that also kind of touches a bit on the current conversation that kind of sparked on social media now, because and I will touch on this very briefly because I know how volatile I think it can be, and I would really rather save our spoons and our energy for stuff that is nourishing. Okay, not to say that that is not nourishing, it's just it kind of drains a lot, man. that
Yeah,
that
yeah. I
that
know,
will
I
need
know.
another conversation another day. But going back, I think that um right now life in the Philippines, I will need to qualify that, is just so hard. I mean, dude, 5,000 pesos more will get you groceries, and the amount of groceries is very very different 10 years ago, 5 years ago from now, you know. And ramdam mo yan.
Ramdam, yeah.
And ramdam ko yan. And before, they would say na, you don't go into comics expecting to make money. If you go into comics, you do it because of the love. You don't do it because of the money, because there's no money there. That's true. But now more than ever, and I feel that from a lot of the younger folks that I've been talking to, who also want to make comics, but they're working day and night, fighting tooth and nail, saving every centavo they can. When it's not going to food, when it's not going to other things they need to live, you know. Um, you go into comics, you have to be prepared to spend out of pocket. You have to be prepared to spend money, time, effort, blood, sweat, tears,
Tears.
utak, creativity, spoons, sanity. It is such a Herculean task. It is such a it is not just, and when I say it is hard work, you are draining your heart of blood and offering it up on the printed page, and that's just issue 1. And you have to do it again and again and again. And that, pardon my French, that shit is not easy,
Yeah.
especially in this life right now. And to go into comics is already a heroic effort. And just like our conversations about around stories that are meant to be quote unquote inspiring, na parang wow, he's such a hero, anak ng magtataho naging valedictorian, anak ng so and so, and you have these valedictorians saying, please do not put me on a pedestal because my story should not happen, meaning no one should have to go through the heroic effort that they're doing. If anyone wants to make comics, correction, if anyone wants to make anything creative, it should be easier than this. And I know that that is a bigger conversation in the long
Yeah.
run. It's just that I really wish that things were so much easier for everyone, so that we wouldn't have to be boxed into these conversations around, oh, we should only focus on comics, oh, we should only focus on, because we need to help each other, not just because it's gonna be easier in the long run, but because if we have any if we want to see something and we want it to survive, we really have to work together to just survive, on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I will
Very
shut up
heavy
now.
topic. Very heavy topic. Yeah.
I
So
know.
I was gonna segue kasi since the story is very personal to you and it's a very
Mm-hmm.
unique story. I haven't read anything close to it, any
Oh
of the
my.
local stuff that we have.
Oh my.
So
Okay.
since it's a very unique story and the current landscape of publishing has shifted, has changed. So
Yes.
we have more government support. You could always apply for a grant, publishing grant, production grant. There's all kinds of grants up in the air right now for comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the DTI and their creatives industries bill is also there. Um, would you? If, I know it's been asked by your friends before that. Would you consider like pitching the Rasa cycles to be produced? Maybe with you as a writer, or you don't want to relinquish then yung illustrator side of the story? Do you want na ikaw yung gagawa ng buo? Or would you like finish the story as you intend and collaborate with another illustrator to finish it?
Nakikihinga. Wait lang. Coming down from that snarl of
Ah,
energy. Um, and now we have this enormous question in front of us. First off, if any particular body believes in the work, believes in the vision, heck, I would also be open to listening to an editor or a mentor I trust, because I know that it is not it is it is a work in progress. It could always use polishing, as I think any artist would feel. There is this saying na work is usually artistic work or creative work is not finished. It is usually either abandoned or still a work in progress.
mm-mm.
It's not Nothing is perfect. So, pardon me. I probably would want no, there I would want to still have writers' rights. I still want to be the one to write it. I would definitely be open to anyone who wants to collaborate with me, illustration wise. I would really love it if what do you call this? If it also had the same vein in mind, at least in terms of the cover. But in terms of art, yes, I would really would want to collaborate with an illustrator. Okay, like I did mention at the start of our podcast, I can draw, um, but I would not quit my hypothetical day job, for it. Let's see. But now that you mentioned about grants and whatnot, that's actually an avenue I haven't explored. And I will confess, and I say this with my very limited knowledge, okay? So please caveat emptor. What do you call this? Taong tabon values. So I haven't actually explored the idea of pitching my work to a grant, or a grant to a body that would confer a grant, mostly because I have this idea in my head that my stories might not exactly be that marketable. They're not like the stories I see on Pikoff, or they're not exactly quote unquote polished. At least the way that um what do you call this? At least the way that some award giving bodies would consider polished. So I don't know, and I also am aware that I could be very, very wrong, and I will happily eat crow if I am proven wrong.
Actually, that's the
And
counterpoint to what you're saying. That if it's totally different from what what's usually pitched to them, isn't that what makes it? Isn't that its USP? Isn't
I'm
that
sorry,
what
USB.
the unique selling point? Its unique selling point.
Oh,
It's totally different from, like I told you, it's different from what I've seen, what I've read from other local creators are are putting out. So maybe it, your work should be also featured, because it doesn't have we don't have anything like it.
That's I don't know what to say to that, but thank you. Uh,
So it's something to
uh
consider lang. I am not really pushing
yeah, thank
anything.
you.
Kasi
But
I don't really know a lot about grants and all that since I do not have any experience with it. But I've seen a lot of uh, great works from creators that would otherwise be done in a self-publishing route, but would not be the same. High production values, colored, and everything, and those are done with now with grants. And I think your work would really benefit if, like you said, I guess the answer to the question why you stopped doing it is we already touched upon. Reality
life happened.
happens and,
Yeah.
life happens in parang difficult mode yung living in the Philippines.
Yeah.
As in,
Um, I think it's also important, John. Thank you for bringing this up. I will have to chew on that. I think one thing then, and I hope that this is not me editing myself before the first draft actually happens. Medyo naramdaman ko yun ah. Um, is there's a part of me that wonders if is the grant giving body going to say, oh, we like your work, we like your flair, but can you like not add this and not add that? Can you like not have the sex
I
scene here? Can you have
the
the, you
creative
know,
compromise thing when
yeah,
when somebody else finances your work.
yeah. I think that might be a bridge I will have to cross one day in the future, but let us not try to cross the bridge even before it's built.
Yeah.
Uh,
Parang ano yan eh,
or
as in problem natin ng creators eh. Sometimes when we're, we have come across a problem and overthink natin,
yeah.
eh hindi pa nga
Parang
actually natin
di
na-encounter
pa nga
yung problem.
nangyayari eh. Oo nga eh. So, I guess this is just me being scared of a ghost that might not be there, di ba? You know? So, I guess the proper response to that is let's see. I think
Let's see.
the first duty for me, my first duty is to find out ganun nga ba talaga? What are they really looking for ba? Are there
Mm.
grants ba? And here I was thinking na meron kang alam. Ito naman. Hindi, okay lang yan. Joke
Ako
lang. Biro
naman, di
lang,
ako
biro lang.
nagmamarunong eh. I'm just like observing and there's a lot of books. Like sa Pick Off, I think Pick Off, yung book mo would be perfect for a Pick Off book. Kasi they don't really have like a house style. They don't really like have a house theme, genre, or anything. It's like anything and under the sun that's been pitched to them, mayroon silang book that's different from each other. And the story you wrote is quite different. It doesn't have
Thank
like
you.
mm,
I think this is also, I think it will also, what do you call this? Without touching on some very murky stuff, I want to also kind of highlight that these two titles, The Little Majesty and The Rasa Cycles, were both born under the helm of Comiket. And when I say under the helm, as in I debuted both
yeah.
titles under. Kaya nga, The Little Majesty, and it is to my, and I am deeply grateful for it, was conferred Best Writer for the Comic Awards in 2017. Ayun. So, uh, yeah. Well, let's cross that bridge when we get there
Yes. Ano lang
regarding
yan,
pick
as
up.
in, something that I usually want to do when I'm talking to creators that took a break. I always said take a break, not stop. Just they just taken a break from creating, from writing their stories, is to coax them back. Sabi nga sa
Yeah.
akin ng iba parang, uy, nakatakas na nga sila dito sa comics. Pero hilahin mo sila ulit. Ay,
Hindi
parang
yun.
ano kasi, nasasayangan ako with a lot of creators. I mean, we have lots of great stories, lots of great concepts and ideas that I find na nasayang sobra that life became too hard for the creator to push through with their craft. with their art, with their stories.
Yeah. And
So
you know what, John, to append to that, um, I want to highlight the massive heart and effort that Pen Lab has done for us creators, because biruin mo nung pandemic, my god, did you, I mean, I'm pretty sure you saw it, the kind of community effort that a lot of people did to band together. And guys, okay, here, if you're, just so that you don't go stir crazy, here's the database of comic books. Here's Pen Lab. Go read Filipino comic books. Go have fun. Creators, please come to us and submit your work. Um, and I want to commend that to them. And that, what Bernie and Nina and their team are doing is no mean feat. Hindi piring ginagawa nila. And this, and take note, these are not a group of rich kids who have nothing to do with their time. My God, they still have their lives to lead, and they still are holding down multiple jobs, and some of them are even dealing with health issues, but still they do this for the love of. Hindi biro yan. And hindi mo yan makakompare with Webtoon, who is an enormous corporation in Korea. Good for them. They're that big. Congratulations. But it's not fair to compare Webtoon with this small band of
yeah.
stubborn
Mm-mm.
renegades who are doing this for the love of, and
Uh,
with the intensity of 10,000 suns. And
yes. And with that
that's,
also, I'll touch upon this lang na when you said when comparing Webtoon to Pen Lab or to any of our other local platforms is unfair. It's also unfair to like compare our loose uh, cliques, communities of local self-publishers to the industry giant of which is manga of Japan.
yeah.
As in
Or
sobrang
even,
unfair nun. I see a lot
mm,
of comparisons na bakit sa Japan ganyan ganyan. That's a giant
actually,
industry.
oh, and there's a reason why they call it an industry, John. Diba? There's an industry, tayo, cottage industry. What cottage
No,
industry?
no.
It's not
That's
a
why I
cottage. I
refrain from
No, no,
calling
no.
anything that we do as an industry and often just like refer to it as a small community of creators.
Yeah. Community is, we are driven by heart. We are driven by
Mm.
the love of. We are driven by the dedication. With an industry, congratulations, it's gotten to a point where what you do can keep
It's a
the lights
viable
on and put food on
livelihood.
your table.
Diba? It's a
Exactly.
viable livelihood. Most of our
Exactly.
comics creator, I always harp on this thing sa conversations, kwentuhan, that most of our creators are hobbyists. They do comics on the side. Most of us have day jobs.
Yeah. But
Actually, yun nga,
mhm,
most of us, as in very few lang sa amin, yung do comics for a living. Wala pa sila sa isang sampares ng kamay. You could,
yeah, yeah. We still hold down day jobs. I mean, but just because we're hobbyists, and we do say that with in every sense of the word, does not mean that we do not do this without love and dedication.
mm-mm. The late Jerry Alangilan often refer to the community and to the medium and to the pseudo industry of local
Yeah.
comics that it has always been run by
Yeah.
passionate people na love talaga yung medium of storytelling and comics.
Yes. And that's why I say it goes back to, when you go into comics, you are doing this with all your heart. And that includes all the pain that can come from it. And you have to at some point allow it to transform you. If you love, if di ba nga sa Little Prince, if you love, to love something deeply is to be transformed by it. And when you give yourself to comics, when you give yourself to the creative spirit, so to speak, you allow it to transform. So, um metaphysical stuff aside, um let me see. Ah, um Yeah, I think regarding the Rasa cycles, let me think about, well, I sincerely hope in one form or another, I would love to see issue 2 come out. I would love to see issue 3 come out. And I know that there will be listeners who will go, anong you would love to see? You would love to see. Ikaw nga itong gagawa niya, tapos you would love to see, you know? I mean, yes, that's true. But at the same time, um, I guess this is my fervent wish for myself that at some point that when I have stabler ground under my feet and I can breathe a little easier in terms of the basics, income, health, whatnot, because these are I am already 40, John, and I am starting to feel the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, meaning I am starting to feel my back hurt and the mornings, and I am starting to feel what it means to pay the rent and the bills and whatnot. And no, not starting to, I already am. And that is still, that becomes a reality, you know. And when I say what I said earlier, I guess this is my fervent wish that at some point when things get better, and when I am able to make to work towards things getting better, I can breathe again and make comics again. Even as things are getting better. Now I can write one page here, write one page there, maybe draw a page here and there, because the little bits still add up. So that's why I say I sincerely wish sometime soon that makakagawa ulit ako ng comics at one point. Kahit na pa pitik-pitik lang muna.
And I do hope that we see that as well sin makabalik kayo. So
Thank you.
I guess
Well,
yung conversation
mhm.
natin has been a roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotions. So
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, John. Well, if you want, we still, Little Majesty in itself, I hope hindi ka papagod.
yun naman.
um, Little Majesty in itself is also has its own story. Yun naman, that is not as heavy. And the story behind it is for me is a bit more freeing. If it's okay if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
yun nga, the difference between both works, while I told na yung story was dense and it's very deep, was yun nga, lighter yung feel ng Little Majesty. And actually, there's a deftness to the storytelling that was,
Deftness.
yeah, as in
Wow.
mas may control, kumbaga, mas may may ano yung storytelling mo dun sa uh, Little Majesty. Yung Rasa was kind of evident that it was your first work. But
Yeah.
with Little Majesty, parang meron ng finesse. May finesse na yung storytelling mo, yung pacing and everything. So yeah. So
It's
how did you get into? I read there's like an anecdote of how you got to Little
yeah.
Majesty from San Pablo all you
Yeah.
after a
And
trip to
in the home of Sir Jerry Alangila, no less.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I will touch on that very briefly so that we can make the most of the 7 minutes. Um it all started back then when I was still a junior organizer volunteer under Comiket. Paulo Heras and Criselda Santos and I went on a road trip. So Paulo was driving to Sir Jerry's place to pay our respects and to have a look, to see to take a look at his comics museum. And to think that was just one small room back then, huh?
Mm-mm.
Uh and then on the drive home, we had to take a pit stop for a bio break and for coffee. And that started as a writing exercise. That pretty much involved um what do you call this? Parang first part was we dumped out all our insecurities on a yellow sheet of pad paper. And insecurities, lahat ng, oh no, I don't know if I can do this, oh no, what if I'm not a good writer, blah, 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 blah. And after that, okay, stop. 5 minutes. Pagod kami nun. Hinga. And then we took 5 minutes to breathe. And then while our minds were empty, write. And then there was this, as I was writing, there was this voice, yung lumabas sa writing ko, was the voice of this very self-assured, imperious little girl who knew what she was worth and who knew that, oh, this house is mine and I know that you're in my service, but let's you and me both, we're in on this together. And Paulo Hera said, you could turn that into a story. He was only expecting, all he thought of was, he was just expecting it would be a simple comic strip, like a 3-panel thing, strip lang. Kasi yun yung, in a sense, challenge niya sa akin, na parang, you have this enormous grand idea with the Rasa cycles, why don't you simplify naman? And then, nung nasa bahay na ako, nung nasa apartment na ako, lumaki na naman siya. And he said that, well, he texted me na, Jonnette, I have the perfect title for your work, Little Majesty. And he had no idea that that title and the huge nugget I already had concocting in my head had clicked. So yeah, he was so not I am sorry, but he was so not expecting that enormous that enormous tapestry nugget that you have in your hands right now. So okay, to make this para may clincher naman sa listeners mo, and to think that all started because I broke up with my boyfriend of 13 years. Yeah, I was in a relationship with someone for 13 years. He's not in the comics community. This was not good. And when I say it was not good, it's essentially this is where I learned that I have to also remember who I was before I got into the relationship, and I have to remember who I am. I have to be able to keep who I am, So after the breakup, I asked myself, okay, Jonnette, you keep teaching your students, because back then I was also an art teacher. You keep teaching your students that it's important to write for yourself. Now, you've been writing stories in a way that the stories would have your ex's mark of approval. Na, oh, it's gritty. Oh, it's intense. Oh, it's this. It's serious. But what about what? Why don't you try writing for your 12-year-old self? Yeah. Why don't you try writing for the 11-year-old self that you kinda hid away for such a long time? And that's how Little Majesty happened.
It's very good, actually. Kind of funny that when you said that a title was born out of a breakup, because I know of a lot of creators that have been prolific after the breakup. Hindi ko alam kung ano kung may science ba yun, but I know ang daming bagong libro na nangyayari every time na may mag-breakup na creator.
I think, John, that's in a sense that's a healthy, I will tell this that's still a healthy form of a healthy outlet pa rin yun. Mas okay na yun kaysa sa maglasing ka or maglaslas ka.
I guess ano na yun yung outlet. Ayun na yung outlet ng mga creative types na yung urge to create something out of na nasirang something.
Yeah. Tsaka, uy guys this is like for the audience. If ever, let's say you're going through a breakup and you feel the urge to create, just create.
Yeah.
Don't think about whether it's going to be a Pulitzer Prize winner or if it's going to win the Palangkas or whatever. Just at this point, that is not your job. Your
Oh,
job is to just get it out there,
yeah,
because
and also may
the
magic sa spontaneity. There's always
yes,
magic in spontaneity. Sometimes yung best work mo would come from a place of yung asang is spark lang talaga. You never planned for it.
yeah.
So actually we unpacked a lot of topics off camera. So
Ooh.
so yung so Little Majesty. Same question with sa Rasa cycles. Um how long would you plan yung books? Where are you on now dun sa books and future plans?
Brilliant. And this is where I can give you a bit more of a definite answer, not as nebulous as the first one. I want to give my love and my thanks and my gratitude to Carlo Vergara, to Carver, the creator of Judge Zaturna. Um, he is a dear friend, and if not for him, he is actually one of the biggest reasons why I am coming back to storytelling. And in particular to creating comics, to continuing the story of Little Majesty. If he did not sit me down that one evening in a coffee shop, and have a heart to heart talk about Little Majesty, I would not be here sitting with you, John, and talking about it. Yes, I do have definite plans of continuing Little Majesty. Um, excuse me, it is up in the air if it will continue as purely a comic book. If there are illustrators who want to help me, yes, please. Uh, um,
Lagay ko yung contact.
yes, um, and there are definite, and he has encouraged me and taught me how to write out the outline. Off the top of my head, I am planning for 7 books or 7 volumes. So, the first 2 are already planned out. I still have to write the rest all the way to book 7. Okay, but there is a definite arc. There is a definite arc to the whole thing, and I want to ensure that I finish this before I die, because death is a reality, people.
I know, I know.
Yon. So, uh, um, yes. So at this way, I am very happy to say that yes, I will continue it. There during the time that I went on break, no, ang dami ko pang emotional eme nung araw. Um, iniisip ko, naku, what if I just turn it into a game so that I will not have to get in touch with this person or talk to this person. And it kind of it felt fun, but it didn't. I don't know if it felt right. It's like I couldn't bring myself to make it happen. You know, um. And then I'm glad that Carver took me down and sat me and talked about it. And to this day, I was actually very ready to give up on Little Majesty because I felt that no one believed in it. I felt that um, people felt that it was just some childish story that had too many elements, that was that had too many flavors to appreciate. And I am still floored every time there are someone who comes out of the woodwork who tells me that, what? There's no issue 2. Why not? I loved issue 1. And
Yeah.
I will confess na iiyak pa rin ako. I am very grateful that Adrian's daughter pretty much told me, please continue the Little Majesty. I saw issue 1 and loved it. It would break my heart to see it not continue.
Mm.
I have had, oddly, I have had dads of daughters write to me and say that it's a little funny nga kasi hindi yung daughter, kasi it's the daughter who reads it, right? Pero it's the dad who writes back and he say, "My daughter loves your work. Oh God, we spent a good long hour just having fun and talking about it. I've never felt so close to my daughter." And I'm so happy that there is someone in the comics community who is writing for pre-teeners. And the story is does not force them to grow up. It doesn't force them to face grown-up issues. It just um addresses them in where they are comfortable at and encourages them good things. And it's really something else for me when it's the parent and the kid who writes back and says thank you for helping me reconnect with my daughter. I've never felt this close to her, and that means a lot to me. And I think for that alone, yeah, it is. Is it worth continuing? Yes, it is worth continuing. So, ayan, John, pinaiyak mo na ako.
Sorry.
No, no, no. Ayan. So, yeah, yes, it is going to continue. Please look forward to issue 2, or if it ends up coming out as a hybrid prose comic book thing, I hope it is something that will delight and inspire you. So I can't wait to see issue 2 with you. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see what Little Majesty will turn into.
Yes, yes.
So,
And we can't wait to see you back at events again,
oh, that's
selling
very
your books
kind.
again. And yeah.
John, i-reserve mo na ako ng table.
So, thank you for taking your time for talking to me and everyone who's listening. Where can they follow your work?
Good
So,
heavens.
so
Okay. Um, I am still Embedo Art on Facebook and Instagram. I am afraid I will have to dust that off at some point kasi matagal na siyang hindi nagagalaw. But you can still reach me. You can still send me messages there. Um, Let me see. I still have my portfolio floating on the internet somewhere there. That's also still badly needs updating. Um, but I know this is gonna sound like a very weird question, John. But for the sake of someone who is crawling out from under a rock, I'm just curious, what kind of updates anyway would people want to see from someone trying to come back?
well, um, somewhere to read the story, or if you're selling physical copies still,
Ah,
also like updates, like they always like behind the scenes stuff. So
you know,
if you have like
it,
sketches and stuff like that, could
I
share.
see.
Uh,
Thank you, John. You know, incidentally, I think some of the pocket bookstores have physical copies of Little Majesty. I think Uno Morato
mm,
has. I think from what I remember, pre-pandemic pa to. From what I remember, Comic Quest in Robinson's has yata. I have to double
okay.
check. Okay, but please, if ever you're curious, just fire me a message. I will do my best to answer. And thank you for having me, John, on your platform. This
Mm,
was a treat getting to talk to you. Thank you.
yeah. Actually, ako yung sobrang natuwa na nakipag-usap kayo sa akin.
Um,
So yun, for everyone who's watching, whatever time you're watching this, please do help us promote local comic books by sharing this video and our other videos to your friends, to whoever
yes,
likes
please.
comics. Follow nyo ako sa Facebook, subscribe to my channel here in YouTube. And yun lang, we'll have more kwentuhan with our comics creators in future episodes. Thank you guys and bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great wherever you are. Bye.
Yeah.